Добрый день. Hello. Привет. It's Diane. I came to talk to you today about the Good Shepherd. This is in John chapter 10, and this is Jesus talking to, he's talking to the Pharisees, and the disciples are there. He healed the guy who'd been blind since he was born, and that was a messianic miracle that we'll talk about in another video. What a messianic miracle is. Okay, basically, a messianic miracle is a miracle that nobody but God can do. So Jesus had healed this guy who had been blind since birth, and you may not know the story. Well, if you don't, it'll be in another video. His family gets drug into court, everybody's drug in, and they basically go, this is crap, you're one of his disciples. And the man goes, no, I don't know him, I was blind, I never saw him before. And so, they threw this guy out of the temple. So the Pharisees are just railing at Jesus about, how he must be part of, Satan. And, it really ticked him off, basically, because then he tells them this. And this is in John chapter 10, when he says, Truly, truly, I say to you, he who does not enter the sheepfold by the door, but climbs in by another way, the man is a thief and a robber. But he who enters by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the gatekeeper opens, and the sheep hear his voice. He calls his own sheep by name, and he calls them out. And when he has brought them all out, he goes before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. A stranger they will not follow, but they will flee from him, for they do not know the voice of the stranger. This figure Jesus used with them, but they did not understand what he was trying to say to them. So, I'm going to kind of explain what he's trying to say to them. Because sometimes we're not the brightest little stars in the sky, y'all, and neither are sheep. Now, I'm sorry, but they're just not. So, what we have here is Jesus is saying to them, okay, now look here. We got these sheep in a pen, and what they would do, and have you ever thought about how did they gate up their cows and their sheep and their livestock? Well, here in America, we always think about fences as like wood and maybe barbed wire and that other, fencing. Maybe a split rail fence where it's wood that's split and used to keep in the livestock. But that's not the case here in Jerusalem. Out there, if you looked around what Jerusalem looks like, you should go on Google Earth and look, because there are not lots of trees out there in that desert. There's just not. So there's stone, there's a whole lots of rocks, and that's what they used. They would build fences, kind of like, in Scotland. They would make fences out of rocks. And so they would have these stone fences that were about 4 feet high. And they had a narrow opening like this, So the sheep, it was kind of like when you do a fish pen in water. The sheep would come in through this narrow opening and then go into a larger field. And that was the sheep gate. And so each shepherd would call his sheep. Did you know that shepherds know their sheep by name? Most shepherds had 30 or 40 sheep, but they knew each one of them. Like one of them was like a little Spot Eye, Blackie, Bart, I don't know, whatever they want to call them. But they knew their sheep and they had a name, and they called them by their name, and their sheep would come. And the sheep would come to them, and them only, because the sheep knew the voice. The shepherd was kind. He was good. He protected them. He made sure that they weren't killed by the wolves, they weren't taken off. But sheep must be led. A sheep, they're not the brightest stars, like I said, and they'll wander off and just fall into a hole. They'll wander off and get stuck in a bush, and they'll wander off and get hurt. The shepherd he counts his sheep, and then he's, okay, Blackie's missing, I gotta go after him. Look, old Spot Eye's over yonder. So he goes and he gets the sheep and he brings them back. But what they would do when they came into town is I would bring my herd of sheep and you'd bring yours, and we'd put them all in this one big old pen. All the sheep mixed together, because my shepherd, my sheep, I say, okay guys, let's go in. And my sheep would go, I would lead them into the pen. Well, they would follow me and they would stay in there. Well, because then more sheep would come in of other people's sheep, and there would just be maybe 200 sheep in there, and they'd just be milling around eating grass or whatever they were doing, and that's where they would sleep, and that's where they would stay. So Jesus was saying, now here you go, guys. Look, the real shepherd of the sheep, he brings his sheep into the sheep pen, he protects them, he calls them out. They come out one by one, and it's a really cool thing to see, because they'll call their sheep and only their sheep come out. Yeah, so like I'd be standing there and I go, okay, black spot, red spot, green spot, whatever your name is, come on sheep, let's go. And here come my sheep and only my sheep, because my sheep know my voice and they're going to follow me out, and I'm going to lead them out of that sheep pen, and then we're going to go out and graze. Now, what he's talking about when he says on here, but there's a thief who enters not by the gate. The wall was only about 4 feet high. So what would happen is they would be guarding these sheep at night, but thieves would come in over the wall and they would slit the throat of a sheep. They would steal the sheep. Sometimes they would go in there and they would kill the shepherd that was guarding the sheep and steal them all. Just knock down the gate and just take them. But that's what Jesus is saying. If you don't take you're not let in and you're not let out by the Good Shepherd, then you're a thief. If you didn't bring your sheep in and they don't know you and you come steal them across that fence, that you're a thief. And he's telling these Pharisees they're thieves, and that they are the bad guys. And I love the next part of this, because John doesn't tell parables. Jesus is telling a fact. This is not a parable. This is a fact, disguised by the culture of the day. Everyone there understood exactly what he was saying. Those Pharisees understood exactly what he was saying. He was calling them liars and thieves. Thieves and robbers, murderers, everything bad about a thief. That's what Jesus was telling them, that's who they were. And then he says this. Now, so Jesus said to them, truly, truly. I love it when it's a truly, truly. Truly, truly means Jesus is saying, okay, guys, listen up. I'm telling you a truth right here. Truly, truly, I say to you, I am the door of the sheep. All who came before me are thieves and liars and robbers, but the sheep did not heed them. I am the door, and if anyone enters by me, he will be saved, and will go in and come out and find pasture. And the thief comes only to steal, to kill, and destroy, and I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. I am the Good Shepherd. I am the Good Shepherd who lays down his life for the sheep. He who is a hireling and not the shepherd is not going to die for his sheep. He is not a robber, a thief, somebody that don't love them sheep ain't going to die for those sheep. But a good shepherd would lay down his life and die for his sheep. There's a reason that David used the psalm of the Good Shepherd. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Jesus is that gate door. The only way to get into heaven is to go through Jesus. That's what Jesus was telling them. I, Jesus Christ, am the entrance to heaven. You may think you can get in there some other way. You may think that it's about Hail Marys. You may think that it's about service. You may think that it's about Buddha or some Hindu. You may think, I'm sorry y'all, I love you all, but Jesus is the only way into heaven. And That's what he's telling them. I am here. I am the Messiah. When the blind man who had been blind since birth was healed and he went into the temple, they said, is he Jesus? Is he the Messiah? And the man said, I don't know. I just know I was blind, but now I can see. And he walked outside after they yelled at him and his parents. And there's Jesus. And Jesus said, I heard what they said to you. Do you believe that God can heal you? And he said, yes, this is a miracle that only God can do. And he said, but who it is it you? And Jesus said, yes. And that's why the Pharisees were so mad. That's why he had a crowd there when he told them the story about the sheep and the gate. He also goes on to say that my sheep know my voice, they follow me, they hear me calling, and they come. My Father has given me all my sheep. My sheep hear my voice. If you hear Jesus' voice calling you from his love, saying, come on, girl, come on, guy, come on, y'all, come, let me heal you, let me help you, let me give you my Holy Spirit that will live in you and give you, raise up that God peace in you where I created you. There is something of me inside of you. Every one of us. Every one of us. The reason the Bible says we're born with a measure of faith is because we are born in the image of Jesus, of God himself. God said, I knew you before you came to be with your mother. So that means we were with him before we came here, and you hear his voice calling you. That's because you know him. So answer the call and just say, hey, did Jesus say to this blind man, go out and do a bunch of good work? No. He said, believe in me. Believe in what you know is true. Believe in Jesus Christ. Kind, loving, forgiving, merciful, graceful. Oh, inspiring. Faced every temptation, every horror, everything that we've known. He knows. He'll never leave you. Will never forsake you. He goes on to say in this beautiful chapter 10 in John, God, my Father, has given me my sheep, and nothing can take them from me. Ain't no thief coming over the wall. Ain't nobody gonna come in and rob, steal them from me. When they are mine, they're mine. When you are his, and even you yourself cannot separate yourself from Jesus. Once you've made that commitment, once you've said, I believe, he immediately comes to be inside of you. And guess what? He ain't leaving. You can tomp him down. You can smash him off. You can shut him down. But he's still inside there. And he still loves you. No matter what you've done, no matter where you've been, no matter anything in your life, there's nothing that Jesus doesn't already know about. And he loves you. I love you. God bless you. And know that Jesus is our shepherd. He does love us. And he wants you to come on in, y'all. He's calling your voice. He's calling your name. So come on in. Join this sheep party. I'm part of the herd. And I hope you are too.